Case in point, Bernard Madoff. Here's his deal. Accused of stealing up to $50 billion from investors. Yet today, a judge ruled he won't be sent to jail pending trial, even though prosecutors say he mailed out at least $1 million of his own jewelry to other people. That's money that could have been used to pay off some of the folks that were ripped off, I might add. So Madoff gets to stay in his $7 million apartment in Manhattan instead of a cramped jail cell with one toilet. I'm sorry, but come on, if that's you and me, and we've ripped off people, if not $50 billion, but maybe $500, we'd be in the slam right now. Joining me now to talk about this one, attorney Monica Lindstrom and radio talk show host Chris Markowski. Of course, he's the watchdog on Wall Street. Monica, legally, what's going on here? Wasn't he told, leave the assets alone, and then he goes and gives away more than $1 million? And again, that's money that could have been used to help some of these folks that were ripped off. What's going on here? Is this justice?
Absolutely. Well, it's not justice. He should be in jail if you ask me. But what happened is the judge said, hey, look, the order for him to freeze his assets, to not do anything with the assets, came from the civil lawsuit, not from the criminal one. So since it wasn't a term and condition of his release for the criminal case, the judge says he can't revoke his bail because of that. So in other words, he got another break.
And he doesn't deserve one. Chris Markowski, we talked about it before. This just looks like Wall Street justice to me. It's a different justice system than the rest of us are under, right?
There's no doubt about it. I don't know if he knows where Jimmy Hoffa is, or maybe he's got the address for Osama bin Laden's cave. I don't know what type of information this guy has or he's giving up, but I can't fathom this guy being out. It seems to me this is the definition of flight risk. I mean, this guy is facing, because of his age, the rest of his life in jail. I mean, he could go anywhere. He's got the wherewithal. He's got the money. He could buy a passport. He could do all sorts of things.
No, Chris, your emotion is what I'm sure a lot of our viewers are feeling. Baffled, infuriated that this guy is hanging out at his penthouse apartment. I want to hear from you. What do you think about this judge's decision? Taking your calls at 1-877-TEL-HLN. All right, we are continuing our conversation here on Prime News on HLN. Bernard Madoff, he's the guy who ripped people off to the tune of $50 billion. Well, the judge ruled he will not, pending his trial, he's going to stay in his $7 million New York, Manhattan luxury penthouse apartment. He's not going to be in the slammer. And many of you are fired up about that. We have Monica Lindstrom, who's an attorney. She's been following this. And Chris Markowski, he's the watchdog on Wall Street, following this as well. But let's get to the call, see what the folks are saying. Rob in Kentucky. Rob, you fired up about this one?
Yeah, I'm very irritated when I see this. I mean, it's 2.5 billion people, or million people, I'm sorry, lost their jobs this year alone. We're pulling trillions of dollars we don't have to bail out our own nation. In a time of economic strife, it's as bad as it's been since the Great Depression. And a man who managed to amass $50 billion by stealing from the people who were, you know, barely making it by, is being allowed to live in a penthouse. I mean, this is a classic example of a person with money buying their way through the system.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all there is to it.
Rob, well put. Let's get another call in. Daniel, Missouri. This guy should be in the slammer, shouldn't he, Daniel? Come on.
I just wanted to say thank you for your show, because you give the people like me, the little people, a voice.
Hey,
and
thanks for
I would
watching.
say this is an outrage, because if I was sold a 10-cent candy bar from 7-Eleven, I would be in jail. I would not be in a $7 million apartment. I would be in a 7-by-7 cell.
You better believe it, Daniel. Thanks for the call. That's it. Monica, what's going to happen legally to get this guy behind bars where he belongs?
Well, probably a plea agreement or a trial where he's found guilty. The judge can look at all the circumstances of the alleged crime, the evidence that they have or against him, and everything else, and still the judge determined that he can stay in his penthouse apartment. Now, granted, the judge has the law to back him up, but it just doesn't seem fair that he's allowed to stay in his penthouse, and that's what has America really upset, and it has the prosecutors upset as well.
Yeah, I'm sure, because they believe he's a risk, right? Security risk, flight risk.
In a sense, his passport is revoked, but then again, he's a really smart man that got away with this for years. You can't tell me that there's not a possibility that he couldn't take off somehow.
That's right. If he can drum up a $50 billion Ponzi scheme, he can find a way to get out of the country. Let's get back to the calls.
His defense attorney did a great job keeping him out of jail.
Yeah. Dinette in Colorado, your thoughts here?
Yes, and let's not forget to mention the fact that 2 people ended their lives behind this jerk.
That's a sobering comment right there. I want to read an email as well on this one. It's, Chris, to your point, this is from David in Florida saying, I would like to know how much money Madoff paid the judge to keep him out of jail. The judge should be investigated. He must have a new penthouse, compliments of Madoff. All right, some charges there, but it just speaks to the outrage here, doesn't it, Chris? People want justice. The guy, I mean, we did stories of people who lost their life savings. This guy ripped off charities, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, closure is a very important part of, I guess, the human condition, and I think people are sick and tired of seeing whether it be a CEO walk or a company going under and a CEO getting a golden parachute. The thing that strikes me, which is most odd in regard to this, is just recently we had two similar types of cases. We had the case of Halogenides, who had an electric monitored bracelet. They took his passport, but he got another one, broke it, and then took off to Greece. And then you had that Sam Israel case from Bayou Capital Management, which was recent, where the guy staged his own death. And eventually they caught up to him. Gotcha. But don't tell me these guys with money, I'm sure Zimbabwe would love to have him come over.
Guys, we're going to have to leave it there. Monica, Chris, thanks so much.